Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the key to achieving anything you desire, anything that stirs your heart and ignites your soul, lies not in waiting, striving, or endlessly chasing, but in assuming the very state you seek to achieve? It sounds simple, almost too simple, yet it is the profound truth that can change your life forever. You see, everything begins with an assumption. The world you experience outside is a mirror of the world inside your mind. To truly create the reality you desire, you must first assume that what you want has already come to pass. When you begin to live from this assumption, from the end, the universe begins to rearrange itself to match this inner vision. It all starts with imagination. Your imagination is not a fleeting daydream, but a powerful creative force. Imagine that your deepest wish has already been fulfilled. What does it feel like? What thoughts fill your mind? What new opportunities, relationships, and experiences have emerged? Live in this feeling. Dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, as though it is already part of your reality. But let me be clear, feeling is the missing ingredient. It is not enough to think the thought of your desire. You must live it, feel it. Engage every sense, every fiber of your being in the experience of your desire having already come true. This is not mere fantasy. This is the process of creation. When you feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, you align with the vibrational frequency of that state, and it must manifest. As you assume the wish fulfilled, you may encounter doubts or contrary thoughts. Be vigilant about your mental diet. The thoughts you entertain shape the reality you will experience. If you catch yourself doubting or fearing, gently return to the assumption of your fulfilled desire. Replace every negative thought with one that aligns with your end result. Your thoughts, when consistently focused, will reshape your world. And yes, there will be moments when the world outside seems to reflect the opposite of your assumed reality. The law is simple. The outer world is only a reflection of the past. Change the assumption, and the outer world will shift to match it. Do not be discouraged by what you see. Continue to live from the end. Persist in your assumption, and the evidence will inevitably follow. Remember, your subconscious mind is your servant, and it obeys without question. It cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one you vividly imagine. So as you impress upon it the assumption of your fulfilled wish, it will begin to work tirelessly to make it a reality. There are no limits. The only limits that exist are those you place on yourself through your beliefs and assumptions. But when you step into the full awareness that anything is possible, that all things are within your reach, when you assume them to be so, you unlock your infinite creative power. Now I ask you, what is your deepest desire? Whatever it may be, assume it is already yours. Live in the end, and do not waver. The universe will align with your assumption, and your reality will change in ways you cannot yet fully comprehend. The power to change your world lies within you. Assume the wish fulfilled, and watch the world unfold before you. Imagination is not just a mental exercise or a fleeting daydream. It is the very fabric from which reality is woven. Every external experience, every event, and every interaction you encounter in the physical world first existed as an idea in the mind. The world you perceive around you, the circumstances, and the people you meet all emerge from what you hold in your inner world. Your imagination is not a random series of thoughts. When harnessed, it becomes the tool of creation itself. The mind does not differentiate between what is vividly imagined and what is actually real. When you vividly imagine something with feeling and belief, your subconscious accepts that imagined experience as real, and it begins to work tirelessly to manifest it into the physical realm. This is why imagination is not only a mental playground, but the actual blueprint of what you will eventually encounter in your life. Think of your imagination as the seed of all things. If you plant a seed in fertile soil and nurture it with care, it will grow into a fully realized form. The same is true with your desires, dreams, and goals. The more you give attention to the image in your mind, the more you nurture it with emotion, faith, and persistence, the more that image will take form in your world. Your imagination holds the keys to unlock any possibility, no matter how large or small. Most people live according to what they see, experience, and feel in the present moment, which often limits their potential. But true creation happens when you reverse this process, when you create in your mind first and then allow the world to catch up. Instead of reacting to the circumstances around you, begin to create the circumstances you wish to experience through the power of imagination. But when you live from the vision of the end result, the entire universe will adjust itself to bring that vision to life. Imagination isn't limited to wishes or desires. It also extends to your perception of yourself. If you imagine yourself confident, successful, or peaceful, and you fully embody these qualities in your mind, your external world must eventually reflect that internal vision. You are the artist of your own life, and your imagination is the brush with which you paint your reality. The act of imagining is an acknowledgement of the infinite possibilities that exist within you. The mind knows no boundaries when it is unshackled from limitations. Whatever you can vividly imagine with emotion, belief, and conviction, you have the potential to manifest in your world. Your imagination is not a mere escape from reality. It is the true reality, the source from which all things emerge. In this way, imagination is not a dream. It's the foundation of your life as you know it. So to say that imagination is reality is not a metaphor. It is a deep, unchanging truth. The world you experience is nothing but the projection of the thoughts, images, and beliefs you hold within. By recognizing this and consciously creating the images you wish to experience, you begin to live a life defined not by what you see, but by what you imagine into being. To embrace the feeling and state of having already achieved your desire, rather than waiting for external circumstances to change before you feel it. It's a mindset that shifts the focus from the process of obtaining something to the experience of having already obtained it. Most people live by a reactive approach. They wait for their reality to change, and then they adapt their emotions and thoughts accordingly. But living from the end flips that approach. It requires you to align with the end result first, and from that place, everything else must follow. When you live from the end, you're not living in anticipation of your desire, but in the certainty that it has already manifested. It is not about hoping that things will turn out the way you want them to. It's about embodying the belief that the thing you desire has already been fulfilled. Instead of waiting for the conditions to align with your goal, you align yourself with the state of already having it. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions become the expression of someone who has already reached the desired outcome. And because of this alignment, your reality has no choice but to mirror that state. This approach demands you to move beyond the limitations of time and space. The mind has a tendency to view the future as a distant event that needs to be worked toward. But living from the end means the future is already here in the present moment. The end result you desire is not a far-off event. It is something you already possess in your imagination. Your feeling of success, wealth, love, or peace is not something to be achieved at some future point. It is something you already experienced now, internally. The power in this is that the moment you claim the end result within yourself, you enter a state of being where your desires are no longer external to you. You stop pursuing them, and instead you begin to embody them. This state of embodiment is magnetic. Your thoughts and energy, now aligned with your wish fulfilled, attract the circumstances, people, and opportunities that resonate with that vibration. The universe, whatever you choose to call the forces of creation, does not respond to your desires as much as it responds to your assumptions about those desires. If you assume the wish fulfilled, your external world must rearrange itself to match that assumption. Living from the end also requires you to disregard the evidence of the senses that might tell you otherwise. If you are seeking a new job, but you are still employed in a position that no longer serves you, it is easy to focus on the current situation as the reality. But living from the end means that In the face of current circumstances, you reject the old reality and step into the feeling of already being in your desired position. It's a complete shift in perception. You no longer see yourself as someone in transition, but as someone who has already arrived. By fully accepting that the end result is yours, you align your mind, body, and spirit with that truth. And in doing so, you collapse the time between the assumption and its manifestation. This is not an abstract or passive idea. It is an active and conscious practice. The way you think, feel, and act must be in constant harmony with your desired end. If your goal is financial abundance, for example, then living from the end would mean you must feel abundant now, not when the money arrives. You live as if you're already financially free, with the mindset and confidence of someone who already possesses wealth. The mindset of confidence of someone who already possesses wealth. Your decisions, your actions, and even your sense of security come from the end state, not from the lack of it. What is remarkable about living from the end is that it doesn't require you to manipulate or control anything outside of yourself. It's about changing your internal landscape. Once you do that, your outer world must align. It is as if you are stepping into a role, fully inhabiting it, and because you have already assumed the feeling of the end result, your life gradually reshapes itself to match the role you're playing. You are no longer waiting for external validation to feel secure, happy, or fulfilled. You are simply acting as the person you have already become, and as a result, your circumstances are forced to reflect that transformation. The more consistently you live from the end, the more the world around you changes to confirm that your assumption is true. The time it takes for the external world to align with your assumed reality can vary, but rest assured that as long as you persist in the assumption, the external world will inevitably conform. The law of cause and effect is simple. Your assumption is the cause, and your reality is the effect. And because you are living from the end, because you are assuming the end result is yours, the effects will manifest in ways that are beyond your conscious planning. You see, conscious plan to live from the end is to trust in the unseen, to operate with absolute faith in the invisible forces of the universe, and to hold a deep conviction that the future is already complete. The end you desire is already here. It is already yours. And by living from that assumption, you embody the very essence of the reality you wish to create. This is the most powerful way to change your life, not by focusing on the future, but by living from it right now. The power of assumption is an extraordinary force that governs every aspect of your life, even though you may not always recognize it. At its core, the power of assumption lies in the ability to believe and act as though your desired outcome is already a reality, even before you see any evidence of it in the physical world. It is the understanding that the world around you is shaped by your internal beliefs, thoughts, and feelings. When you assume something to be true, regardless of what your external circumstances suggest, you are setting into motion a chain of events that must lead to the manifestation of that assumed reality. At its deepest level, assumption works because the subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. Whatever you assume to be true, it will accept as truth and act upon it. This is why your assumptions have such power. They are the blueprint that guides your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions, which in turn shape your experiences. If you assume success, for example, your mind will begin to notice opportunities and align you with situations that reinforce this assumption. Similarly, if you assume failure or lack, you will begin to notice reasons why success is out of reach and will attract experiences that confirm those assumptions. The power of assumption is not bound by time or space. It works regardless of whether your desire appears feasible or realistic. What matters is the intensity with which you assume something to be true, the belief that it has already been fulfilled. When you assume your wish fulfilled, you are not waiting for conditions to change externally first. You are aligning yourself with the truth that the desired outcome is already a fact in your mind. Your inner world becomes the creative force that pulls the outer world into alignment. with your assumptions. One of the most powerful aspects of assumption is that it creates a sense of certainty. When you assume something is true, you stop questioning it, doubting it, or waiting for evidence to prove it. This shift in mindset is incredibly freeing because it releases the need for external validation. Once you fully accept and assume that your desired outcome is already realized, your actions, decisions, and energy will naturally flow from that state of certainty. You won't have to force things to happen. You will simply act as if the result is already yours, and the universe in turn will align with that inner certainty. This process may seem counterintuitive at first, especially when your external circumstances are not yet in line with your assumptions. But this is where the true power of assumption lies. The ability to live from the end, to see the desired result before it materializes. Your assumption is the seed, and your feelings and thoughts are the fertile ground that nurtures it. The more you live as though your assumption is already a fact, the more your reality must conform to that assumption. It doesn't matter if there is no immediate evidence of change. By continuing to assume and embody your desired outcome, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind, which in turn begins to change the course of your life. The power of assumption is often underestimated because it operates quietly, beneath the surface of conscious awareness. But once you realize that your assumptions, whether conscious or unconscious, are constantly shaping your life, you begin to understand how vital it is to carefully choose what you assume. Negative assumptions about your worth, your potential, or the world around you are just as powerful as positive ones. But they tend to work against you rather than for you. The key, then, is to consciously assume only what you want to experience, to assume the best possible outcome regardless of what you see around you. Now, the new way is, in practice, the power of assumption requires persistent attention. It's not a one-time mental exercise. It is a continuous process of choosing, re-choosing, and reinforcing your assumptions about yourself, your desires, and your life. It requires a level of discipline and faith because you are living in alignment with something that hasn't yet manifested in the physical world. This takes courage and trust in your own inner vision. But with consistent practice, your assumptions will begin to crystallize into reality, and the world around you will shift to reflect what you have long since assumed. To harness the true power of assumption is to realize that the outer world is nothing more than the materialization of your inner world. The way you think, the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world, are constantly molding your experiences. The power of assumption isn't about forcing things to happen. It's about assuming in every moment that what you desire is already true. As you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you naturally shift your thoughts, actions, and beliefs to align with that reality. And as you do so, your world must rearrange itself to match the new assumption. This is not a superficial trick or wishful thinking. The power of assumption is rooted in the deeper understanding that your thoughts and feelings are creative forces. By consciously assuming what you desire, you are directing these creative forces to bring your vision into physical form. And when you assume that something is already true, the physical world has no choice but to reflect that assumption back to you. So whether you are seeking health, wealth, love, or success, the power of assumption is the key. By assuming that you already possess what you desire, you initiate the process of transformation from within. The world will align with your assumption, and what was once a mere wish will become your living reality, the secret ingredient that bridges the gap between imagination and manifestation. It is not enough to simply visualize or think about what you desire. You must feel as though your wish has already been realized. When you feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, you activate a powerful force that accelerates the process of bringing your desire into physical form. The mind is most receptive not just to thoughts, but to emotions. And emotions are the language that speaks directly to the subconscious, which is the creative source that shapes your reality. The key to this process is that emotions are not just responses to external events. They are also creative catalysts. When you feel the joy, excitement, gratitude, or satisfaction that comes from having your wish fulfilled, You are sending a signal to your subconscious that this state is real, present, and already a part of your life. It is through these feelings that your assumption takes root and begins to manifest outwardly. This is why the emotional experience of the wish fulfilled is just as, if not more important than the mental image you hold. When you truly feel the emotions as if your desire has already materialized, you are aligning your inner state with your outer reality. Imagine, for example, that you are seeking financial abundance. It's not enough to simply imagine a large sum of money or picture yourself in a new home. You must feel the freedom, the security, the joy, and the peace that come with financial independence. You must fully immerse yourself in the feeling of what it would be like to be in possession of that abundance right now, as though it's already yours. This feeling is what fuels the subconscious mind to make that assumption a reality. Your subconscious does not distinguish between the feeling of having something now or in the future. It simply responds to the emotion as if it is already happening. Once feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled also requires you to be in the present moment. Most people live in a state of waiting for the future, waiting for things to change, waiting for their desires to manifest, but this creates a gap between them and their desired reality. The key is to close that gap by feeling the fulfillment of your wish now. If you're imagining a new car, don't just picture it sitting in your driveway. Feel the excitement, the pride, and the joy as you drive it. Feel the leather seats, the sound of the engine, the satisfaction of accomplishment. In other words, experience it fully in your imagination and emotions, as if it's happening right now. When you do this, your body, mind, and emotions align with that assumed reality, sending out a vibration that attracts the conditions necessary for that fulfillment to appear in your world. The act of feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled also requires faith. Faith that your inner world is creating your outer world. You may not see evidence of your wish fulfilled immediately, and this is where most people falter. They get discouraged because their senses don't reflect what they are imagining. But the physical world works in harmony with the inner world, and in time, the outer world must reflect the emotional and mental state you are holding. This is why it's crucial to maintain the emotional experience of having your desire fulfilled, even in the absence of visible evidence. By feeling the reality of your wish fulfilled, you are impressing that feeling onto your subconscious mind, and your subconscious works behind the scenes to bring it to fruition. You can practice feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled in many ways. One powerful method is through visualization. As you close your eyes and imagine your desire fulfilled, focus on the sensory details, what you see, hear, and feel in that state. Feel the emotions as if they are happening to you right now. Let your body respond as if the fulfillment is tangible. The more vividly you can feel the emotions tied to your wish, the more potent your creative power becomes. When you allow yourself to truly feel your wish fulfilled, it is no longer a distant possibility. It becomes a present reality in your consciousness. Oh, it's important to remember that this process doesn't rely on forced effort or struggle. It's about ease and trust. You are not trying to make something happen through sheer willpower, but rather allowing it to unfold by aligning with the feeling of having it already. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not something you should work hard to generate. It should feel natural, joyful, and authentic. When you slip into this feeling, you stop striving, and instead, you embody the state of already having received. When you persist in feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer caught in the cycle of desire and lack. You have stepped into the realm of fulfillment, where there is no yearning, no waiting, and no absence. In this place, there is only the knowing that what you have assumed is yours. The more you anchor yourself in this feeling, the faster your outer circumstances will shift to mirror that internal state. You are living from the end, not in pursuit of the end. The universe responds to this emotional resonance, and over time, the circumstances that align with your fulfilled desire will begin to manifest in your life. The key is to feel it first, not as a future event, but as a present experience. The feeling you cultivate now is the energy that propels your desires into tangible form. And when you truly feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, it is only a matter of time before the external world reflects back to you the very fulfillment you've been embodying. Your mental diet and self-talks are essential components in shaping your reality. They are the inner dialogue and mental environment in which your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions are nourished. Just as your body requires nutritious food to stay healthy, your mind requires positive, empowering, and constructive thoughts to create the life you desire. The thoughts you entertain in your mind, day in and day out, become the foundation of your experiences. If your mind is filled with negativity, doubts, and limiting beliefs, those will manifest in your reality. Conversely, if your mental diet is filled with affirmations, empowering beliefs, and assumptions of success, your world will reflect that. Mental diet refers to the conscious effort to choose what you feed your mind. It's about being selective with the thoughts you allow to take root in your consciousness. Just as you would avoid junk food for your body, you must avoid junk thoughts for your mind. Thoughts that are disempowering, self-critical, or filled with fear and anxiety serve no beneficial purpose. They only fuel a cycle of negativity and limitation. On the other hand, thoughts of abundance, confidence, and success are the nutritious thoughts that will help you manifest your desires. You are the gatekeeper of your own mind, and you have the power to choose the thoughts that align with the life you wish to create. Self-talk is an integral part of this mental diet. It is the ongoing conversation you have with yourself throughout the day. Whether you realize it or not, you are constantly affirming your beliefs, whether positive or negative, through your self-talk. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, or that things never work out for you, or that success is reserved for others, you are reinforcing those beliefs and feeding your subconscious mind a steady diet of limitation. These repetitive thoughts and phrases become deeply ingrained, shaping your perceptions and actions, and ultimately your outcomes. This kind of self-talk keeps you stuck in a cycle of lack and frustration. On the other hand, when your self-talk is aligned with your desires and the reality you wish to create, you are programming your mind for success. Instead of telling yourself that you can't do something or that you're not worthy, you affirm that you are capable, deserving, and worthy of all the good that life has to offer. For example, when you speak to yourself in a way that reflects your ideal life, such as, "I am confident and successful," "I am worthy of love and abundance," or "everything I desire is already on its way to me," you are reinforcing the belief that these truths are already a part of your life. Your mind begins to accept these affirmations as reality, and your subconscious takes action to bring them into your external world. To make the most of your mental diet and self-talk, consistency is key. Just like any habit, it takes time to retrain your mind. If you've spent years engaging in negative self-talk or allowing your mind to dwell on doubts, it may take time to shift. However, the more persistent and consistent you are with feeding your mind positive thoughts, the quicker you'll see change. Each time you consciously choose a positive thought or counter a negative one with an empowering affirmation, you are reprogramming your mind to align with your desires. Over time, this new way of thinking becomes your default mindset. You must also be mindful of what you allow into your mind from external sources. The media, the people around you, and even the environment you find yourself in can greatly influence your mental diet. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, fear, or doubt from the news, or from people who don't support your dreams, it becomes harder to maintain a positive mental diet. Surround yourself with positive influences, whether they are books, podcasts, or individuals who uplift and inspire you. The energy and thoughts you take in will have a direct impact on your internal dialogue and the way you perceive the world. Another key aspect of a healthy mental diet is being aware of your emotional state. Emotions are the fuel behind your thoughts, and it can either amplify or diminish the impact of your mental diet. If your emotions are frequently negative or turbulent, it's important to acknowledge and address them rather than ignore or suppress them. This doesn't mean you should suppress negative emotions, but instead, you must allow yourself to feel them fully, understand where they come from, and then consciously shift to a more empowering emotional state. You can use your self-talk to reframe your feelings and redirect your thoughts toward a more positive and constructive direction. A powerful tool in maintaining a positive mental diet is the practice of affirmations and visualization. By repeating positive statements and visualizing your desired outcomes as if they have already come true, you are feeding your mind with the right mental nutrition. The more vividly you imagine yourself already living the life you desire, the more your subconscious mind begins to accept that vision as reality. Affirmations and visualization are ways to remind yourself of your worth and to align your thoughts with your highest potential. The language you use with yourself is also an important part of your mental diet. Words carry power, and the words you choose shape your reality. If you consistently use language that reflects self-doubt or limitation, you reinforce those beliefs in your mind. However, by shifting your language to one that reflects possibility, empowerment, and self-assurance, you change the way you perceive yourself and the world around you. For example, instead of saying, "I'll never be successful," you can say, "Success is inevitable for me," or "Every step I take is bringing me closer to my goals." These small shifts in language can have a profound impact on your subconscious beliefs and actions. Your mental diet and self-talk are the tools you use to create your reality. By taking responsibility for the thoughts you choose to entertain, the words you use with yourself, and the emotional energy you allow to influence you, you are actively shaping the life you wish to live. When you consistently nourish your mind with empowering thoughts, affirmations, and actions, you align yourself with your desires and create a reality that reflects the positive, abundant, and fulfilling life you've always wanted. Remember this: your thoughts, beliefs, and self-talk are not just fleeting moments. They are the building blocks of your reality. What you feed your mind shapes who you become and what you attract into your life. The power to transform your circumstances lies within you, and it begins with a conscious choice to guard your mental diet and elevate your inner dialogue. The words you speak to yourself and the thoughts you entertain are the seeds that will grow into the experiences you have. As you go forward, take full responsibility for the thoughts you allow to take root. Replace doubt with certainty, fear with confidence, and limitation with possibility. Feed your mind with thoughts that empower, uplift, and align with the life you wish to create. Every time you speak to yourself, remember that you are speaking into existence the life you want. Your mind is a powerful tool, and when you choose to master your self-talk and mental diet, you unlock the door to limitless potential. So choose your thoughts wisely. Speak to yourself with kindness and belief, and feel the reality of your desires as if they are already here. The life you dream of is already within your grasp. You have the power to bring it into being. Start today, start now, and let your thoughts shape the incredible future you deserve.